Hello, this is Kali J.N.S. Happy Sunday. I hope you guys are having a great day. And we're going to cover some things about the Nakhti Order today. I just want to make sure that my sound is good because just went live and I want to make sure that, but if it's not, I hope it's good. But nonetheless, we're going to cover the first phase of the Nakhti Order. I just want to give a preface of like what it is and what we're doing and give people some steps of like what solutions. Sorry, I just want to make sure check my sound. Give people some solutions on some things for those who may feel illusion rather with the two-party system. And so these are some things that I'm coming up with. It's a collaborative effort, but I do have to say this video is a fireside chat. It's the first fireside chat of the Nakhti Order, in which we will discuss the legal architecture of the Nakhti Order, as well as what it is, and then we'll get into like the actual land of North America in terms of the indigenous that were here on this land. And then I think that's what we'll cover for today. We just want to cover the legal architecture of the Nakhti Order. So we'll be covering some things about the U.S. Constitution, the preamble, the Nakhti Order governance of North America. We'll cover that, and then I think we'll end it for the first fireside chat, and then we'll do a part two, and then we'll cover more because we have to cover this whole thing. But I have to cut this, the video up. I don't want to just overload people with information. So I think the best case for the fireside chat today would be to just do, yeah, we'll do the legal architecture and then probably the preamble. And I wanted to get into, just the land of North America itself, not so much the corporation of America, but like to focus on what this land means. And so we'll cover that as well. But I thought I put it at the top, but apparently I didn't. I should have had that up and ready to go. Founding fathers, committees. Nonetheless, we'll find it. It was pretty much just I wanted to talk about. I think it's an ordinance, and I wanted to cover that. If not, we can cover it certainly in the next video. But nonetheless, let's get into the fireside chat part one, the Nakhti Order governance. And so I want to make clear that when we talk about an Umbra governance, and Umbra means there's a shadow aspect of things. And so Umbra is also the idea that it's not so much that it's hidden, but it's eclipsed. And so when we talk about a governance, the definition of governance means to govern a condition of things, a state of a condition, which is different than government, because government means to govern the mental space, and so it's element of governing the mind, and that's literally the definition of government. If you guys didn't know that, but governance means to govern to oversee a condition of things, to oversee a state of a condition. So that's different than government, and so that's first and foremost. And so the Nakhti Order itself is a high society. It is a dynamic organization that is multifaceted. So it functions as a think tank, an idea generator, esoteric spiritual order, as well as a human rights advocacy group and political party. So within the Nakhti Order, obviously we have Nakhti University, we have the Nakhti Church of the Higher Self, the Center for Sexual Health and Family Planning, all these different apparatus or appendages of the Nakhti Order, but it is still a conglomerate, just still one order. But now we're taking it more into the governance level, because I've been working on Nakhti University since 2021. And this idea of the Nakhti Queen Mothership, my first book was published in 2020 about the Nakhti Queen Mothership and whatnot. And so now we're moving into the more governance aspect of things. And so that it's not getting into politics in the matrix sense. It's more so of a more holistic framework that operates outside of the matrix, and that's why we call it the Umbra governance. And so Umbra is a synonym for shadow. And so remember, Umbra means an opaque object that is um experiencing like a total phase of an eclipse. So that's like, say, the area of an Earth or a moon that experiences the total phase of an eclipse. And so I talked about that in the last video, but I'll show you an image of it just so you guys can see what I'm talking about when we talk about the idea of Umbra governance. Let me make sure that my sound is good because, again, show you an image of it. The only reason why I have to check my sound is because I get cut off the air a lot because the topics that I discuss are pretty heavy. They're pretty heavy topics, and so um as you can see on your screen, this is what an umbra looks like. You see the moon and the earth, and then here's another aspect of that. And so you can see when we talk about the umbra governance or shadow governance, that is what I'm referring to. I'm very transparent about that. I'm very open about that. And so if you guys want to say shadow government, that's fine, but I'm saying shadow governance because I have to be very concise in the language that I use. And so, again, the definition of governance is to govern or to oversee a state um, or a condition, state of affairs, or overseeing the direction of something. That's pretty much all governance means, which is different than government. Okay. And so it's a system of complex processes, functions, structures, and rules that are born out of the relationships and interactions in a holistic sense. It's not meant to control. It is meant to, for one, create an order out of, I won't say like an order out of sovereignty, pretty much. So it's different than saying order out of chaos. It's like order out of sovereignty. And pretty much, as you can see when we think of our government and planet Earth, it's built on order out of chaos, because without the social contract between the relationship between the government and the people, you pretty much have the wild west. And so that it's looked at as chaos. And so, like, how do you bring order to that? And I don't see that as chaos, I see that as sovereignty. So how do you bring um balance, rather, into sovereignty? For those that are interested, it is just a framework, but this is me doing this for myself first and foremost, because I am very disillusioned with the two-party system. And just in my own experience over the last 3 years, and the me observing the last year in particular, let me know, that I have to move differently in terms of what I give my energy to and what I even observe or even pay attention to. Because I mean, this election, to me, was a complete shit show in terms of the campaign and over the year, and just a slew of things. Just being able to see the game, pretty much being able to see the theater stage, and I can't. I can't participate too much in that. It doesn't feel authentic, and so I had to make that concerted effort to say, you know what? Well, if I'm displeased with something, let me just do my own thing, or let me just do something else. Let me build for myself and for those that may have interest, but it's not meant to step on anyone else's toes, or to force someone into certain ideologies and whatnot. That's never been my concern with anything that I do. But yes, the Nakhti Order, it is a high society first and foremost. There's a book on it if for those that's interested in more, and so in the esoteric aspects of not even so much our belief system, but just the esoteric system that I developed personally as Kali J.N.S. The book is the Nakhti Order. It's an alternative to Freemasonry, and that is it contains correction of certain information, esoteric information. And it also has new information, one of which being the Nakhti Philosophy. One of there's other things of Black American spiritual systems, indigenous spiritual systems, as well as correcting some information that was misinterpreted from certain orders that the knowledge was stolen from, and as well as just giving out a overall framework. And so that is what the Nakhti Order book is about. And that was released about, I want to say maybe 7 months ago, 6 months ago, maybe. Yeah, 6 months ago. And so again, the Nakhti Order itself, though, is a high society, an idea generator. One aspect of it will function as a political party. If I even decide to get back in the swing of things in terms of that matrix stuff, because it just what's going on now in politics. I mean, God help you. And then for one, first and foremost, we advocate for enlightenment, truth, human rights, and love. And so that is another aspect. It is a high society that promotes truth and enlightenment, brotherhood and sisterhood. And so that's the gist of it. And so our mission aligns with the well-being of the American people and humanity in harmony with universal laws and unalienable rights. And so universal laws, as you guys know, there are 12 universal laws, and I covered that on my channel about a year ago. So I'm not covering it in this video. You guys can look that up. But also the laws of thermodynamics is also important when we think about governing forces and even the way the system works, believe it or not. And so in order to understand the universal laws and to understand this idea of energy, you have to understand the laws of thermodynamics, their laws, because even that definition that you may find or research I have to say, is a little bit botched, but I mean, it's good enough. But the key values within the Nakhti Order is innovation, creativity, intelligence, strategic thinking, military science, enlightenment. Let's put that there. Truth, and a commitment to supporting our growth, self-sufficiency, and looking out for our own. And so that's also very important, to look out for our own, to have each other's back no matter what. And so let's look at the proclamation of the Nakhti Order of North America. And so here, this is where we're going to talk about the indigenous nations and those who have indigenous bloodline. And so that would be a lot of Black Americans. That would be a lot of Americans who have done their genealogy, and they are able, or even have oral history. Maybe they didn't do their genealogy yet, but they've done their oral history, and they know that they belong on this land. Their ancestors have been buried for centuries upon centuries in the land of North America. They know exactly where they are at. They know where those graveyards are at. They know what land is due in their family. Some people have abandoned their land. I'm not here to judge anyone, but what I'm saying is the land itself of North America, it has been home to indigenous nations. Okay, and so our ties to the land has more of spirit. It's a spiritual essence to it. It's one of reverence, stewardship, and it's spiritual to us. And so that's why you've seen a lot of conservative Black Americans speak out against the border and against the immigration, because we see people they were able to just come over in mass and have extreme disregard for the land and for the people that inhabit the land and people that are indigenous to land. And so that was extremely, extremely offensive. And so I do have to say that, me personally, I do have more conservative views. I do not belong to any political party as far as like the RNC or the DNC, but I do have more of conservative views. And I do have to say that I was one that wanted that still does want that border closed. And it's not anything personal. It's just common sense. You have a certain amount of land mass. You have a certain amount of resources that have to be allocated, and so you, by just by logic, you can't have just a mass influx of people. You just can't. It has to have some order in that regard. And so you can't have an open border where you have illegal immigrants just coming in. You don't know who they are. You don't know where they come from. You don't know their background. You don't know their connection to the land. And so, there's a concerted effort to get some control over that. And so obviously the Nakhti Order is on board with that. It's nothing personal, but obviously you have a certain amount of landmass. There's 320 million Americans. North America has a certain size. It has a certain order. It is an entity of its own, and it is home to people that have been here for hundreds and hundreds of years. Some people have been here thousands of years, and so our connection to the land is different than say someone who can come over here and just use and join the more so of the corporation aspects of the United States, and they don't have any connection to this land, and they may even have some resentment because of maybe this destabilization that occurred in their own home, and so they may feel like America is to blame, and so they may come over here, but they still feel they look at America as a place to use or to take, and so in a transitory state. So they feel like, oh, come over here, we get our money, we go back, we do this, we're gonna go send remittance, we don't care about America. That's how a lot of people feel, and so that's obviously problematic for those of us that don't know anywhere else, that they won't have anywhere else to go. Like my people, we won't. I don't have anywhere else to go. Like if I had to leave the country, it would pain me. This is where my people have been for so long. And my genealogy is public. Not all of my genealogy is public, obviously, but I mean, a good. I can prove that I've been here at least damn near since the founding of the country, at least, and that's because I didn't publish all of my genealogy in the public, but it's been a known thing, as far as even in our oral history when we talk about the indigenous ties to the land. And so this is a sacred lineage for many of us. We feel ancestrally connected, okay? And so we have a responsibility to the land of North America. We have to we the land of North America itself, again, it's an entity. Even if we were to just look at California itself, just take one landmass. That was named after people say it's mythical, but I personally don't look at things as mythical, or I don't see mythology as the same definition as the average person sees mythology. But Califia Califia is the entity that oversees the California landmass. There was a lot of indigenous out there in that area in particular, and that's just one that we know. I know we have Pele, and that's like one of the entities that oversee Hawaii land. The sacred lands of Hawaii, and that energy, believe it or not, or I wouldn't say like of those particular entities, but when we talk about like governing forces, that could be found throughout all of America. I mean, even something as simple as High John the Conqueror. High John the Conqueror is energy that oversees the South, of the South of North America, and a particular lineage, which would be Black Americans. And so, when we talk about the Nakhti Order, we root it in the proclamation of North America. We root it in the land of North America. And so obviously the history of North America, um, it's nuanced, it's multifaceted. We've had multiple wars, we've had multiple slave trades. We had the American Indian slave trade, the Pacific slave trade, and the transatlantic slave trade. These are three slave trades that happened on America. So when we talk about American chattel slavery, there were multiple wars. We all know about the Revolutionary War. We all know about the Civil War. Okay, we all know about World War One, World War Two. Everybody knows about that. And so when we talk about like principled ideas of what America stand for, and whether or not it always lived up to those ideas, is definitely something we can debate, right? That's definitely something we can debate. But we do know on paper, at least when we talk about the science, or the science that created the corporation of America, or obviously one of which would be the Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Constitution, um, Masonry, indigenous Masonry, but also Moorish science Masonry, and so we won't really get into all of that. We're just covering some of the basics. But again, America, we know in terms of my lineage, we stand for freedom. We stand for justice. We stand for truth. We stand for enlightenment and unity. That is what my lineage stands for. Black, Blaque. It is spelled different than the way the U.S. corporation spells it on purpose because of legal reasons, but also gematria reasons, spiritual reasons. And I have broken that down, and that's publicly available. You have to go to there's a Google Drive, a Google folder rather, that can be found in the pin. I guess I could probably put it in the chat. But I mean, I guess if somebody's interested, you guys will email me. But yes, the definition of black, spelled Blaque, is very different than the definition that the United States Corporation uses for their definition of black, which is spelled Black. I do not spell black that way, because I am on to their legal chicanery. And I know how they use resonance and heka and words and spelling to create their definitions of, and pretty much how they formulate the stratification of America. Believe it or not, is based on legalese, as we all know. That's nothing new. We all know it's based on legalese, and we all know that the way the spelling and the gematria of a word also means something. But nonetheless, for my lineage, when we talk about like the Nakhti Order of North America, yes, it is based on freedom, justice, enlightenment, truth, and love. And so again, the land is a legacy of cultural and spiritual and social importance. It has been nurtured and protected by people. It has been built up by my lineage in particular. Okay. And so we revere that connection. We understand that collective heritage that is bound to this land, and respecting that legacy is essential to the fabric of our shared identity as Americans. That's very important. As Americans in general, when we talk about collective heritage, we have to start with the land. You can't get out of that. You can't start nowhere else when we talk about collective heritage without starting with that land. And then you can get into, you know, the history. Then you can get into the history, the wars, the nuances within those histories, and then the genealogy, the experiences within the actual various geographic locations and whatnot. But for me, you have to start with the land when you talk about any form of governance and collective heritage. And then you have to start with your ancestral ties to that land. And so as a new governance, where it's founded to restore the rights and dignity of all people within our lands. And so the Nakhti Order is committed to realizing the principles of sovereignty, okay, and equality, long promised but too often denied. And so we draw on the spirit of the Northwest Ordinance and the preamble of the U.S. Constitution, okay. And so the Northwest Ordinance, we can cover a little bit of that, because that actually is quite important if you ask me. There was a Northwest Ordinance of 1787, right? And it was a law that established that pretty much was a process of how you admit new states to the Union, and how you protect the rights of people that are here. Okay. And so the ordinance, it does lay out a three-stage process for admitting new states to the Union and whatnot. I obviously I won't take that so literal in terms of what the Nakhti Order is and what we're doing with it. But when we talk about this idea of a new Umbra governance, I mean, there's a process. Obviously, there's a Bill of Rights, and then guaranteed in that in the territory as well. And so the most important element of the Northwest Ordinance was also the prohibition of slavery. Now, again, you guys could do more research on it, but it just pretty much established clear processes for acquiring, settling, and organizing Western lands, while legitimizing the power of the United States. And see, but in our sense, we're legitimizing the power of the indigenous that are already rooted on this land. And so the Northwest Ordinance is something that we're looking at a larger framework of American federalism, but we are outlining something very specific. When we talk about the Nakhti Order, we're talking about the Northwest Ordinance and the framework to add to govern this land, pretty much. And this was normally taken into combination. It was normally taken into account with the drafting of the U.S. Constitution, believe it or not. And it was needed for several reasons, because Virginia was having issues. There was debate over frontier territories. It was a lot. Connecticut and Rhode Island, they got into disputes, and so that's why the Northwest Ordinance had even came into fruition. I know that even when Kentucky was added, they had to go back to the framework, and then obviously indigenous seeking to assert their rights to the frontier lands, they also had to use the Northwest Ordinance as well. So that's why it's very important, because the Northwest Ordinance, believe it or not, it wasn't necessarily political. It didn't necessarily have like political authority. Um, it had authority, but I'm just saying it wasn't political. But it does establish clear processes for acquiring, settling, and organizing Western lands. And it legitimizes the power of the land of North America. I'll say that. Now, obviously, it legitimizes the power of the United States government. But when we talk about the Nakhti Order of Umbra governance, I am using this to legitimize the power of North American landmass itself, as well as the Nakhti Order. Okay. And so the ordinance solidified federal power early in the ratification era by establishing Congress as the only authority controlling territories held by the United States. Obviously, things have changed. Obviously, there was a prohibition of slavery in that territory. And combined with the ratification of the Constitution, it sets up the conditions to suppress conflict. Okay, because we coming in with the Umbra governance of North America. This is what the Nakhti Order is doing, and so yeah, we gotta be on. We gotta be on top of shit. Okay, and so that is important. The 1787 ordinance, it prohibits slavery and involuntary servitude. Now, when we talk about the United States corporation and proxy slavery, or how people participate in the matrix, or the system itself, we're not talking about chattel slavery today, but it's different forms of mental slavery and bondages in different forms. And so that's another reason why the Umbra governance of North America, which is the Nakhti Order, it's rooted in sovereignty, and it's bringing order to sovereignty. That's all it does. And we root that in the 1787 Northwest Ordinance. And I don't think I want to cover all of this. And see, this is because I'm actually going to write some policies using this ordinance and rooting it in, but I'm not going to get into all of that right now, because we're not covering that. So now that you guys understand that, we could talk about the preamble of the U.S. Constitution. Now, obviously, the preamble of the U.S. Constitution, it calls for justice and tranquility and a promotion of the general welfare. Okay, and we commit to upholding the rights of all descendants of America. That's what the Nakhti Order, the Umbra governance of the Nakhti Order, does commit to. So let's actually go over the preamble of the Constitution itself. Okay, let's see. Let's go here. Okay, so it's pretty short. It's not going to take us, only like 52 words. And so we won't be, laborious with it. But, obviously we all pretty much familiar. Like when we were kids, we learned about the preamble of the Constitution, and it says, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish the Constitution for the United States of America." And so we all grew up knowing that ain't nothing new. And again, we're bringing it in from the Umbra governance, going to the United States corporation. So it's like an interdimensional aspect of things. And that's why I kept showing you that photo of the Umbra eclipse, because Umbra, it means shadow. shadow governance. And so that is what the Nakhti Order of Governance of North America stands for. But we root it in the land, the Northwest Ordinance, and then the Constitution. And we in particular, we love the preamble of the Constitution. Okay. And so we affirm the sacred right to land and resources, and we pledge to protect, restore, and defend these rights with the utmost good faith. And under this governance of the Nakhti Order, we will safeguard American sovereignty, fostering a nation. And I want you guys to see it right here. I want you guys, we're reading it together. Under this governance, we safeguard American sovereignty, fostering a nation that respects ancestral legacies while building a future rooted in true equality, respect, and peace for all North Americans. In the light of this history, the Nakhti Order affirms the sanctity of this land, which is North America, and the rights of all Americans to live in dignity and freedom with full transparency, accountability, and representation. So this governance stands as a renewed commitment to honor these lands, drawing strength from the principle of justice, liberty, and unity. I would like to add truth here because truth needs no proof. Truth is our weapon of mass destruction, as they say. truth is what we have to stand for. Okay. And together we uphold the vision of a nation that respects its history, protect its people, and honors the sanctity of the land. Okay, we starting with the land, ensuring that freedom, justice, and equality are the inheritance of all future generations. I want to put opportunity instead of equality, because opportunity is very important. Things, if you can't promise an equal outcome, right? But if you could promise that same opportunity and allow people to do it what they will with those opportunities, that is what I would see to be the most equal thing you can do, in terms of equity. And that opportunity is not present in the current system. And so I would say that to me would be more prevalent in today's time. And so let's look at the Nakhti Order legal standing under universal GIA and admiralty law. I want to put de jure law in here. I didn't put de jure law in here. Let me go ahead and add that in here while we are. Yeah, that's very important. That's very important. Matter of fact, I'm going to add that in here as we speak. De jure. Well, let me get that. Authority from universal, yay, common law. Yeah, I'll add it. I have to. It just bothers me that it's not in there, so I'll add it here. Jure law. Okay, and we can cover what de jure law means as well. But the Nakhti Order of North America operates under a distinct legal framework that derives its authority from universal law. GIA law, which is Galactic Intelligence Authority, which is pretty much Milky Way. Obviously, the definition of universe and galaxy in my mind is a little bit different than the way humans understand it. But I will say, if you guys want to, lend credence to the idea that they are that we are in the Milky Way galaxy, then it does have its framework itself, as well as universal law. And again, the definition that you guys have of the universe and galaxy is a little bit different in my mind. And so, but nonetheless, what's on the books still stands. Okay. And so we derive our authority from universal law, the GIA law, common law, de jure law, and the law of chaos intelligence, which is the law of man, that may be too deep for us to get into. I'll simplify it though. The law of melanin. Okay, and so rooted in these fundamental principles, the Nakhti Order recognizes the sovereignty and inherent rights of all beings, including humans, species, animals, interdimensional entities, as possessing special rights and privileges that convey sovereign immunity, elevating them beyond federal and state jurisdiction, as well as corporation. This doctrine of sovereignty underscores the American status as independent sovereigns whose authority originates not from earthly governments, but from a higher order of universal and GIA law, or you guys can say God, affirming the Nakhti Order's legal and moral foundation as a legitimate governing body. Okay. As far as admiralty law, I have permission of on planet Earth to build this system I'm building out, but because the system currently works under admiralty law. But let's look at what de jure law is real quick. Let's look at it. Let's go here probably. Yeah, let's go here. Okay, they asking for some damn donation. No, ma'am, not today. Maybe tomorrow. Catch me on a good day. Okay, so it says de jure is a Latin expression for by law or by right, and it's used to describe the practice that exists by right according to law. And so it's usually interchangeable with de facto, as it always means as a matter of law. But this is not what I was looking for. I was looking for something a little bit different because the way I had understood this was a little bit more simple. Okay, here we go. This is what I was looking for. This right here. Let's go here. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so it says in law and government, de facto describes that practices that exist in reality, even though they are not officially recognized by bylaws. Okay, so that's why that's where de jure comes in. Whereas de jure describes practices that are legally recognized, regardless of whether the practice exists in reality. Okay, and so that's also what the Nakhti order derives its authority is from as well. Okay, and so obviously when we talk about, so you guys understand that whether it's in practice or not. Okay, so now let's go to universal law. Obviously, we're not going to cover the 12 universal laws in this video. I already done it on this channel multiple times, believe it or not. But we rooted under that as well. So let's go back here. Okay. And so in alignment with the Nakhti Order's founding principles, any statutes, codes, or regulations that conflict with universal law, GIA law, the law of chaos intelligence, are deemed color of law that operate under mere appearance of authority, and are therefore null, void, and without legal standing. This order repudiates any illegitimate claims over the natural ancestral rights of American and Nakhtian sovereigns, as all individuals retain the roles of executor, beneficiary, and stockholder of their unique identities and estates, distinct from any artificial corporate entity, the straw man imposed by federal or state systems. Consequently, the Nakhti Order asserts that taxes or obligations imposed by foreign entities infringe upon the inherent rights of Americans and Nakhtians and the sanctity of their ancestral estates. Okay, so that is pretty much some of the legal framework that we're working with. I can add more, take things out, but I do know the most important is that we're operating under universal law, common law, de jure law, and GIA law, the law of chaos intelligence. And we do have some legal standing under admiralty law, but not if it is in conflict with our founding principles that are under universal law. And any ordinances that are in conflict with us are therefore null and void and without legal standing. And so the Nakhti Order operates within the bounds. Oh, here was right here. I think it was right here. The Nakhti Order operates within the bounds of de jure law, based on universal law, common law, and GIA directives, emphasizing that inviolable rights and privileges bestowed by these foundational doctrines. Though admiralty law is recognized in specific negotiations and situations, the Nakhti Order does not operate under its jurisdictions unless it aligns with the order's principles. In essence, the Nakhti Order's legal authority rests on these higher laws and God, safeguarding the rights of American sovereigns to uphold justice, integrity, and sovereignty in all actions, and ensuring immunity from undue interference by federal or state actors. This legal foundation positions the Nakhti Order as a legitimate and autonomous governance structure for all American citizens, securing their rights under both earthly and universal jurisdictions. And so that is what I wanted to cover. And again, we want to get back to the sanctity of the North American land and our ancestral connection. This is our fireside chat. This is just part one. It is very dry. Normally, I like to be cussing and going off and cutting a jig, but we have to be serious at times. And with the Nakhti Order governance fireside chats, I do have to say that some of it is going to be serious. Some of it is going to be more brought, some of the fireside chats are going to be less, heavy, because again, this is our first fireside chat, and I at least got to give you guys somewhat of a framework or a definition of what the heck is the Nakhti Order. What is this Nakhti Order of governance in North America? Why are you running around saying you're the president of the shadow government? What is the shadow government? What is the Umbra governance? What is, and so I have to explain those things, and so I hope you guys bear with me as we talk about those things. But let's get back to the land of North America. The land of North America, once again, is of profound spiritual, historical, and legal significance. It is not only physical space in which generations of people have lived and thrived, such as my people, Black Americans, and it is also a sacred domain protected by the ancestral spirits and guardians who have long maintained its balance. The rightful connection of all Americans to this land is undeniable, protected by both the spiritual legacies of their forebears and the natural laws of the universe. The current system of governance, however, has persistently stood in opposition to this sacred bond by neglecting the responsibilities owed to those whose ancestors once occupied, nurtured, and governed this land. And so that you see the disrespect of the American people. Come on, you see that with the situation, how they brought all them Venezuelans over just in Chicago, and they displaced and kicked out Black Americans out of their apartment, took over the rental office, and forced the tenants to pay rent to these gangs, Venezuelan gangs. And these were illegal immigrants. And our government knew this was happening. They brought them over. If you see the open borders, hundreds of thousands of people coming over, 15 million illegal immigrants that was let over the last 4 years, just so y'all know. And so my beef is not with, you know, people that's trying to get a better shake in life. People, excuse me, people gonna get in where they fit in. So if that means they gotta step over you to get to where they gotta get, you better believe people are gonna do it. Do I agree with it? No. Would I do that? No. But that's how this world works. But that means we have to establish law and order. When we see that type of carrying on, we can't just let y'all just come and displace people that have been here for hundreds and hundreds of years and kick them out there. They took over a whole rental building, man, and was forcing the tenants to pay the Venezuelan gang mobsters rent. That is outrageous. And then they started to kick them out so that they could sell drugs out of the apartments. And this is what has happened. And there's been so many people complaining about it. There's so many people up in arms about it. And so thankfully something's going to be done about it, right? There's going to be the closing of the border and whatnot. But even people that are over here, that have been here, that maybe they've been here for 50 years, 70 years, they still have been disrespectful to the landmass of North America and to the ancestors of North America. Even people that may have been here foundationally since the 1800s, 1700s, they even lost their way. There's a lot of things going on in this country. Okay? And so we can't have the land of North America and the ancestral ties of North America go in one direction and the United States corporation go in another direction, because it's too much of a spiritual schism. I could feel it. I could actually feel the spiritual schism and the disappointment. Like I could feel like our ancestral ties to this land and and even the entities of the land of North America looking like, what the heck is y'all doing? Where are y'all going with this system? And again, it's not towards the average American. We're talking about the government. And I've been trying to warn them about that. Like, you got to have that in alignment. You can't have that out of balance. And it's too out of balance. And that's why we talked about the Umbra governance. And that's why I kept showing you guys the pictures of that graph, because Umbra, I keep saying that Umbra means shadow. But let's look at it one more time. When we talk about Umbra governance. Okay? The shadow governance. That's what that is. That's what it looks like. And so obviously, this land aligns in many mounds and many even ley lines and grid lines. And even when we say mounds, we're talking about like different forms of even pyramid styles, different because the mounds are the way that you would build a traditional pyramid is pretty much the same, but there was a concerted effort to cover a lot of that stuff up over in North America, but nonetheless, it still aligns with certain constellations, whether that be the Orion Belt, whether that be the Pleiades constellation, whether that be Sirius A, Sirius B, Sirius E, whatever. Pleiades, as we all know, a lot of North American indigenous have more ties to that constellation than, say, Sirius or other constellations. We all know about the drinking gourd. I don't know one Black American that never. We all know about the drinking gourd and whatnot. And so this it's very important that the energy aligns, as above, so below, as we say, but that things align with Earth itself, the crystals of that are in North America. When we think about, for instance, I'll give you an example: Unakite. Unakite is indigenous to North Carolina. They literally have huge mountains of Unakite, you know and believe it or not, those crystals carry information. If you guys think that I'm being dramatic, look at the amount of information that a quartz can hold. Let's actually look this up so you guys can follow, and like, oh, that's just pseudo quartz. Let's see, I want to say it was quartz. Let's see if I could just put flash drive, because I mean, like, let's see the quartz. Look at it, because I know it can, when we talk about carrying information, it's really important that you guys understand what I'm talking about. How much information can quartz hold? Let's just type that in. How much information can, like, you could store data on like crystals. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. We talk about memory. And so when we talk about unakite crystals, tourmaline in North America, they hold memory. So look at this. You can see it right on your screen here. So a crystal, a quartz, just itself, we talk about 360 terabytes of information with the potential to last for billions of years due to its durability against heat and other environmental factors. So we're talking about just the crystals. That's the quartz, and we all know about clear quartz. And so we're talking about data. I just give you an example of unakite in North Carolina. They have huge mountains. You can go and get you some unikites, and we all know what a unikite is a very powerful crystal. But we're talking about the ability for these quartz and for these crystals to hold information. They have holding information of North America, not just the landmass. Any species that have been here. Obviously, we know about Lemurian quartz. Um, the people on the land, the deaths, the deaths, the traumas, the situations, the memories. That's all stored here, and for good or bad, whether it's transmuted or not, it's still the land itself is still sacred, and it has to be in balance. Anything that is on this land has to be in balance with that. The information of North America, when we talk about the crystals on the earth of North America, and the constellations that govern North America. And I can tell you, with the way the current government is and structured, and we're not talking about because it's Trump or because it's the RNC. We're talking about whether it would have been a DNC or the RNC, whether it would have been either one. It wouldn't have mattered because they all work together behind the scenes. We're talking about the way that they are running the current shadow aspects of things, and what they got planned for this country is completely at odds. And I know things that they have planned for this country that the average American cannot see yet. And I don't want to be like the bearer of bad news or coming off bitter or coming off like negative. So I don't say everything. Like, I could do a video on all these things. And thank God you got people that are speaking up. But I kind of didn't want to, rain on people's parade just so soon, because they're just celebrating like who they wanted to win, and even who I selected 10 months ago and whatnot, even though I did cancel some things out before the election, and had a change of, I just wanted to just get out of the system completely. But I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but some things you just got to let ride out and let people see for themselves. And they think they go from one burning house and they walking into another burning house, or it's like the dowels they had, like them little them it was of dowels that they used to have that was layered upon layers. uh I think they were called, like, what was those? I'm not trying to Google it right now. Matter of fact, here we go. these dowels right here. Remember these dowels were, I think they were called like Russian dowels, and you think you're going from one, you think you get out of one dowel, and it's just like layers. You think you go from one layer, and you go, we find out there's more and more to uncover, more to uncover. And see, Americans think they the hot shit, because they got rid of the Democrats, and we were glad to get rid of the Democrats, right? And then now they got rid of one Russian dowel. I'm just trying to show you like a picture of what I'm. They get one of the, and then they realize, oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another layer. There's another layer. There's another layer. And so I see the layers, but unfortunately Americans cannot see the layers, and they just want relief. And so it's like, okay, anything but that. And we still have a long way to go in terms of we talk about America first, and steering this country back to what we know is we talk about the golden age. That's what they're called. They're called the matryoshka dowels, nesting dowels. That's what they're called, nesting dowels. Yeah, that's what they're called. But anyways, I just want you guys to see an example of what I meant by like the layers. But that's what's happening in this country now. And so things may not play out, until like maybe 2026, 2027, 2036, 2037, and so people could, the phases in which people wake up and realize the different aspects of the illusion, and some people are aware of the illusion and they go along with it. But for me, I know, you want to give things a chance and whatnot, but sometimes you just have to overstand things and like I said, let things play out. I have to let things play out. I can't be coming off. I said what I said, and I meant what I said, and now we just got to let things play out. For the American people, and continue to do the work that I know to be true, and the work that feels comfortable with me and what my ancestors put on my heart. And so again, we're talking about Umbra governance. So pay attention. Okay, we talk about the darks, the chaos intelligence, and um what's shadow. I'll say that because again, I can't get too deep, but I would prefer, I'm not here trying to like create a social graphic profile of who I want in the Nakhti order, but at the same time, you may have to do some research on things if you don't understand something, if we don't cover it, because it's either I either covered it already on my channel or I covered it in a book. And I'm an author of 20 books, and so my books are very heavy. I have philosophy books. I created a philosophy system called the Nakhti Philosophy. And so sometimes to follow me, you would have to have a working knowledge, not so much on my work, but just even just esoteric sciences in general. You would have to have a working knowledge, say, of the Rig Veda, the Advaita Vedanta, Gnosticism, the teachings of Yeshua, the teachings of the Mahatmya, the Devi Mahatmya rather, and then the Nakhti philosophy is what I rooted, and that's my own system. So I studied a lot of things, but I've created my own stuff because again, my uh work is to bring people back to themselves. So it's not so much to push beliefs on people or, oh, this is what you got to think, this is what you, but the Naki philosophy is a framework that battles against mind control, that battles against having the matrix program you have to program your own reality. And so I understand that we have been under very powerful spells. Them spells are very powerful. That I can attest to you myself. That last one with the election and that MAGA necromancy and that dark MAGA and all that. I'm like, whoa, like they work with very powerful systems. Luckily we have our own primordial sciences and our own systems that will wake us up, and we have our ancestors that will wake us up and out of those spells. But yeah, for a long time, the American people, and I would say even globally, have been under uh, spells, which is pretty much other entities or uh, yeah, I would say that's the right word. Other entities controlling the perception of your optics, your law, your optics, which means the perception of what you see, how you think, mind control, pretty much. And so it hasn't hit humanity how much, how pervasive mind control is, how subtle it is, the way in which it works, and how it's done. They're not quite aware of that. But if you want to study the law of optics, the control of your perception is the biggest thing, obviously, and then control of your vibration. And so the Nakhti philosophy is one framework in which I use personally to battle that, and I still use my philosophy when I do get down or when I do start to overthink and get anxious and start to kind of unravel. I have to bring it forward and fill out those charts and figure out, well, what is this current content that is driving my state of consciousness? Is it inauspicious? Is it auspicious? Do I want to transmute it? Okay, what are the steps? What is the level that I do want to get to? And then organize the chambers of the mind on the mental, the emotional, uh, the etheric, and the physical level to point all of the new content in the direction of the state of consciousness that I want. And again, the Nakhti philosophy is a bit advanced, but again, it's freely available. It was a labor of love for humanity. It's highly shadow banned. It's federally copyrighted for the rest of my life and 75 years after my death. Like I have paperwork protecting the Nakhti philosophy because it is original work that I created in 2020. And so I say that to say that I don't have I'm not trying to like say like, oh, I have to we have to be this, you have to be that, you have to be this age to be in a Nakhti order. But it is just for me myself, I'm a pretty serious person for the most part, and I don't have time to. I'm a very structured person, and I just don't have time for to go to be in the weeds of things or the thick of things because there's frameworks that I've already built out. The enterprise architecture was a book that I created about a year ago that already had a governance structure, but more on the of the city level. That's more so like for the city local level, and it's that already has a framework of procuring resources and building the communities from the scratch up. It does have a governance structure in there, but it was just like more so for the community level. Like say if 10 people get together or 10, 20, 30 people get together and they need to start from scratch and they just got land, like what do you do? And so that framework, the enterprise architecture, was created a year ago, published. It's 133 pages long. Again, my stuff is shadow banned because obviously I do know 3 pages that it's heavy stuff that I'm talking about. It's very heavy, and they have the way they want to run their system where they just need you deaf, dumb, and blind, following the matrix, not questioning too much. You go to your job, work 9 to 5, and not questioning the system, not questioning the matrix. Don't question consciousness. Don't explore consciousness. And so a lot of my work does that, and so it's like that obviously puts a target on my back. And I was very open about me being a targeted individual in the past, or whatnot, and things I had to go through, and to where we're at now, where it built me up in a way where I'm like, look, whatever you're gonna do, you're gonna do it. I have to stay true to what's in my soul and what my soul mission is and what I came to express. That's just a me thing, and I'm not trying to push that on nobody else. I like high level shit. I like to, and I like strategies and coming up with infrastructures and frameworks and then letting it roll out and play out. And believe it or not, a lot of the things that I've put out over the years have been implemented in the government. Obviously, they don't give me credit for anything because they were too busy trying to bury me. But I've seen it. I have documented it. I have timestamps. I've documented just certain aspects of my work being influenced in the structure of what the matrix is doing, because they're on their last leg, so they don't have any, they they kind of trying to figure this out, and you can see that. I mean, if you want an example of that, and this is not no shade, I'm happy that they're trying to do something, that little something, something, but you see, they done created the problem. Now they want to act and come in like they's the solution. So now they tell people, okay, remember Coca-Cola originally they just had this new push that just came out today, where I want to say it's the Secretary of Health or the one of these health departments or whatever. They want to push Coca-Cola to remove high fructose corn syrup out and just use cane sugar. Uh, Coca-Cola originally used to use sugar. Sugar is still pretty fucking unhealthy for Americans. So when we talk about make America healthy again, it's like, okay, so who caused the problem? Why is this just now? Why did it switch from sugar to corn to high fructose corn syrup? And then now you wanted to go back to sugar. Why not go back to stevia? Because sugar is still incredibly unhealthy. Sugar is just like, as far as the effects on the brain, that's just like taking heroin. I mean, it's powerful, and we all deal with it. We all battle with it. I told you I switched to cats. I don't know if you remember. I think I showed you. I was laughing. I laugh every time I buy cats gluten-free product because people say it's fake healthy, but look, it ain't got no dairy, ain't got no sugar. I try. All I can say is I try to do the gluten-free, and they got things with that's egg-free, dairy-free, but I like cats. I ain't gonna hold you. This little brand right here, I laugh every time because I said the lady that came up with this, she put her foot in this. Them oatmeal cream pies taste better than the original Miss Debbie's. What's it called? Little Debbie's. Remember Little Debbie's? But so America has to get healthy again. Absolutely. We all for it. But like, it's like these people cause the solution and then they're supposed to come in and give us they cause the problem and then they just give us the solution. And this is not no shade at RFK because at least he's able to do little, get somewhat of, uh, hold of what's going on. And so I'm thankful for him speaking out and putting everything on the line to actually bring that about. So it's not no shade at him. I just find it just when we talk about like the idea of their shadow government, like the idea that they have the gall to think that we remove high fructose corn syrup and put back in sugar. And Americans are having issues with sugar. Americans have an issue with diabetes. I was like, what is that? Should they just do stevia? Should they just maybe do dates? Should they just do what's the other one? Maybe I mean, come on. I mean, stevia may be better than people even have issues with stevia, but I mean, come on, and will Coca-Cola do that? I don't know. I mean, why did they change it in the first place? I mean, did they want to cut on cost and increase profits? Most likely, as most of these corporations do. McDonald's, you having a directive to change your shit too. I see they're trying to promote that. I don't eat McDonald's anymore. But yeah, y'all want to change. Y'all want to start removing all that sugar and high fructose corn syrup and all that, and uh, pushing minimally processed as well. Because it's baby steps for me. I don't need the baby steps. It's like we need to just boom. But whatever, they gonna take Americans to baby steps. But Americans, you don't need to be governed like you some damn 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old. With oh we gonna take out the high fructose corn syrup, but we gonna leave in the sugar. Okay, did Americans ask for that? Why ain't they saying what they deem should be healthy? Hmm. I would say stevia. I would say push for stevia. Like what are when we say make America healthy again, what is the definition of that to Americans? But that's just me because I know a lot of us are struggling with the sugar thing. And me personally, you know, um, it's a struggle for me. And so I try to do the cats. And again, I think we covered their website before because like I said, they have things that are dairy free, gluten free, sugar free, no artificial flavors, colors, or preservatives. You see it right here on your screen. Nut free, soy free, dairy free. And so I've been fucking with cats for a minute. I ain't gonna hold you. You can shop by allergy. They got egg free. Okay, they got English, I'm telling you, for Americans, and I'm not getting paid to promote these people. Just so y'all know, I probably should, but I'm just trying to look out. Like I'm just trying to look out. But yeah, y'all try cats. If you look up, it's pricier, but I mean, it's worth it in the end. Pretty much, I pretty much had most of these things. Let's see. So you see it right here. They got corn free, oat free, rice free, soy free, or egg free. You know, but these are the type of things that will, this to me, it will be a step in the right direction in terms of like the corporations and the companies going. This will be a model to follow. If you ask me, I would say I would say Cats is one of the better brands. You know, GT synergies, certain things like that in terms of like we want to even, with pressure Coca-Cola into removing high fructose corn syrup. Yeah, all these companies should remove high fructose corn syrup, of course. Let me make sure my screen sharing right because I know that that my stuff be getting okay, so it is sharing. Okay, so yes, that would be an example. If we were talking about removing the fructose corn syrup, I would say um all of the companies, corporations, we were talking about like a ban. Like once again, Europe has banned so many chemicals. Actually, we might want to look at some of that chemicals that's banned in Europe but legal in America. And so we all pretty much know that. We should be following maybe even a model that Europe already has. So we can go here. And so there's multiple chemicals that are banned in Europe but are still legal in the United States that are found in the food. But I want to put food chemicals. That is something that we've known for decades. Okay. BHA and BHT. Remove that out of food. I don't eat anything with BHT in it. I don't eat anything with dye in it. Yellow number 5, all of that. Get all that, get rid of all of that. Yellow number 5, number 6, red number 40. All of that is poisonous. Get rid of it. Okay. So US food additives that are banned in Europe. Look at this. And so pretty much it's not like I don't want people dicking me around saying, oh, let's just remove the fructose corn syrup and just from Coca-Cola and we gonna add sugar. No, like we put in this work, we put in him so that he can really get the work that he wants. And he agrees with me. Like RFK agrees with everything I'm saying. And so this is what we are demanding. Okay. The removal of potassium bromate, titanium dioxide, brominated vegetable oil, propyl paraben, like all of this stuff. Like there are people in America that look at the back of their ingredients and they say, okay, we're not gonna, they won't get anything with this. And say, I used to eat things with BHT and I stopped. Like so, pepperoni that is uncured, that is not cured, rather, or that is cured rather, that usually has BHT and BHA. I would love for boars to remove the damn BHT and BHA out of their damn, like, come on, can you just come up with a freaking uncured product? Uncured pepperoni. But I'm just saying, like, when we think of like make America healthy again, we gotta remove all of these ingredients, all of these chemicals and substances that are banned in Europe that are still found over here. We need to remove all of that. It's not just the fructose corn syrup. It's not just Coca-Cola. Okay, look at this. Farm raised salmon. Like, do they look at this? 13 foods that are banned in other countries. Ritz crackers, Mountain Dew, Gatorade, Skittle. Like it's a complete overhaul. But Americans are not there yet. You don't you said you wanted major reform. You better be careful what you ask for. But yeah, all of this stuff. Growth hormone, RBG, GH, get rid of it. Titanium dioxide, get rid of it. BHA, BHT, get rid of it. You don't even know what BHT would do to your ass. All the dyes, get rid of it. Yeah, but let's get back to what we're talking about with Nakhti Order of Governance, because I think we almost pretty much done. But yes, we were talking about the connection to the land. So the land of North America holds the legacy of the indigenous people, the sacrifices of the enslaved, which are many one and the same when it comes to the Black Americans, and the founding principles of the nation itself. These ancestral forces, which continue to protect and watch over the land, have been disregarded by an unjust system that has historically usurped authority and violated the natural rights of those connected to the land. This violation is a desecration of both the land and the dignity of those it belongs to, including the foundational ideals of this nation. Okay, so this is what would be in our preamble of the Nakhti Order of Governance. So the significance of this connection is underscored by the scientific and spiritual practices of epigenetics. Now, epigenetics is a real science for those who do not know that. And so if you're new to studying epigenetics, you're about to learn a little bit of something here. Okay. But we're talking about like saying my ancestors who've been in North America for so long. We have an epigenetics, which is your cell memory within your consciousness, the memory within your DNA. And so epigenetics is a real science. And let's go a little bit over that. So epigenetics, which explores how external stimuli and traumatic experiences influence the expression of genes across generations. Through epigenetics, we understand that trauma endured by ancestors, whether through forced relocation, slavery, or the systematic theft of land, can leave lasting markers on the genetic makeup of future generations. It has been scientifically proven that the theft of land and the enslaved of my ancestors have affected our epigenetics. This is, I mean, like it is documented research. It's a whole bunch of different scientific articles on this stuff of how the effects of what Black Americans have went through. It's been passed on generationally down through their epigenetics, which is the memory in your DNA. So these marks are not simply biological, but they are also etched into the collective consciousness of a people. And so that goes for every ethnicity. You have epigenetics based on your tribe, based on your lineage, based on your land, where you're from, right? And so this concept aligns with the spiritual practice of ancestral healing, which aims to recognize and release inherited trauma to restore balance and well-being. And so that's what my people are doing now. And that's why God has charged us with sovereignty, governance of the self, rulership, building of the third temple, building of the inner man, inner woman, coming together as one. No gender fighting, ain't no none of that bullshit y'all be doing. None of that low level knocking each other upside the head and wanting them. None of that. Okay. So just how epigenetics show how trauma can be passed down through the gene expression, the ancestral trauma of land theft, displacements, and oppression is passed down through the generations of America. You got to figure all of the greatness has been passed down too in the epigenetics. It's not just all the trauma, it's all of the royalty, all of the sciences, all of the, some people have Atlantean sciences. We don't even go too deep. We don't get too spiritual in our fireside chats. You know, I want to do it too. You know, I'm itching to do it. You know, I'm trying to keep it, you know. But yeah, just you carry the royal bloodlines. Those that come from the class of chiefs, class of priestesses, oracles, royal priestesses, the royal military priestesses, sacred orders. Okay, that's all passed down as well as the land theft and the ancestral traumas. Okay, but we are healing the wounds of the past, and that's why the Nakhti Order is about enlightenment, truth, healing. It's a high society. We don't gotta trick nobody. I don't gotta deceive nobody. We transparent. We play the game at a much higher level. We don't play their game. We create the rules. We glitch the system. We are the Umbra governance. We are the shadow. We glitch the motherfucking matrix. We make the rules. We change the laws of thermodynamics. We reverse the laws. We add, you know, it's like we at a whole nother level. And you have to see yourself as that. Okay. And so the current governance system, it disregards the sanctity of the land and the trauma of its people. This government has disregarded the sanctity of the land and the trauma of its people. Therefore, it constitutes a violation of both human rights and universal laws, perpetuating intergenerational harm. How do we make it right? How do we make it right? By looking out for the American people, by looking out for the land, and looking out for those who have inhabited the land. That's how we make it right. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about epigenetics, okay? Because the reason, the way they were able to study epigenetics, believe it or not, come from studying monarch butterflies. Now, let's get into it. Let us see some in the comments. I want to acknowledge people in the comment section if there's some comments. Hey, DW, baby girl. I see there's no more fundraising. Mother Bear Spirit hates that. Right. No more single use plastic. And that's what I got to work on. DW, did you hear that they came up with a new form of plastic? It's not plastic, but it's like it's like a sustainable cover that it looks like plastic, but is made of seaweed. And it has water in it. It's this one time use. Like you can just put it in your mouth. It's a company in Japan that came up with that. And they're trying to make this, you know, mainstream, you know, this thing, you know. My thing is they have it where it's just like a gulp size ball that you put in your mouth and you drink it. It bursts like water, and it's like a gel, and the water is inside of it. But it's supposed to be like a seaweed that you can eat, and that's supposed to replace bottled water. My only thing is that they need to put some sort of uh I want to say a something that's sustainable that can actually be used like more like a straw or a suckler that can attach to the jelly ball that they use, and that way you don't have to just have a splurt of water in your mouth. But they're trying to come up with some solutions to the bottled water thing, that stuff. But yeah, thanks for stopping by. Let me continue because yeah, but so monarch butterflies are pretty much uh is how you can study epigenetics. And so they were known for their remarkable migratory journey. So they span thousands of miles, and they in the third generation, the epigenetics of the memories of the migratory patterns of say the previous generations come through in the third generation. Okay, and so I'll read it verbatim here. But monarch butterflies are renowned for their remarkable migratory journey spanning thousands of miles, yet individual butterflies don't complete the entire trip. Instead, the migration cycle patterns. The migration cycle spans 3 to 4 generations, each carrying forward the biological cues for direction, distance, and timing. So this is your memory. This is your distance and timing. Okay, I'm going to read that again. Instead, the migration cycle spans 3 to 4 generations, each carrying forward the biological cues for direction, distance, and timing. This enduring journey is guided by a combination of genetic memory, obviously environmental signals, which scientists says, influence your epigenetic mechanisms. But what's important is that by that third generation, that's when like all of the science of what to do comes out. And so believe it or not, like if you do your genealogy and say, you go back 3 generations back, I always encourage people to try to study that the third generation going back, like your third great grandparent, third great grandfather and grandmother, uh maybe even some of the aunts and uncles of your third great aunt, third great uncle, and you want to study their life and their surnames and whatnot, and I guarantee you'll see so much of their energy or so much of what they do and what you do, like even maybe if you ask about like their personality or even the work that they did, some of the things they liked and cared about, you'll see it come out in you. And you'll see not just that, maybe you go back fourth generation if you don't see the third, because there's 3 to 4 generations, but it's generally three. But if you maybe you have to go back a fourth generation, but you'll see you'll know information that they know. It all come down to you. And that's exactly what happened to me. Like with my third grandparents, um that some of the things that I've done, they did. Like it is quite fascinating. Like the things that I know, I had to go look through genealogy records, but like it's like wow, like that's what I would like to do. Like one of my grandfathers, they had like a little farmer's market, a little buggy, a horse carriage. They had farm, but they farming didn't go into the Black American community to give, the farmers market for fruits and veggies and sell it to the community and whatnot. And that's always like something that always I didn't even know that about it, but that was just something that always was like, man, I really one day I would really love to have farmers market. I would always think about stuff like that and other things that they have done that I won't quite detail here for personal reasons. It's just personal stuff, but it's like wow, like that's what I did or that's what I do. That's what I and it's fascinating. So maybe you guys would, if you want to understand, to see how like epigenetics work, maybe you study the third or fourth generation of your bloodline and see like and then study yourself and see what kind of things like that you took on, that you took upon and whatnot, and then get your natal chart and whatnot, and that natal chart, and then studying those, you study your genealogy, your surname, and your coat of arms. I promise you'll break some generational curses. Okay, so let's continue. So epigenetic processes like DNA methylation and histone modifications are thought to contribute how migratory information is stored and activated in successive generations. So, for example, each generation is born with innate directional cues, which respond to environmental changes, such as daylight length and temperature during migration. These cues activate specific genes related to navigation and energy conservation, likely through epigenetic tags passed down generationally. Researchers have found that genes involved in muscle efficiency and metabolic regulation are essential for long distance flight and vary between migratory and non migratory monarch populations. In turn, these adaptations helped each generation of monarchs develop the endurance needed for the part of the journey from North America to Mexico and back. As each generation progresses, the environmental inputs help to reinforce these migratory behaviors epigenetically, and essentially teaching, this is very important, teaching the next generation by passing on epigenetic marks that influence neural and muscular. So let's just break that down in simple terms. Pretty much all of the data that your ancestors know. This is they give the example of the monarch butterfly, but this is applied to humans. You better believe it. And so pretty much your ancestors, they pass down generational epigenetic tags, whether that be, once again, uh, certain things that they have done. This could be, I would say, it's information, navigation. Like I love where I'm at. Like I love the South because that's where my ancestors have been for 200, 300 years. I mean, come on. But I was born in the North. I was born in New York, from Buffalo, New York. You know, I wasn't born in Buffalo, New York. I was born in Rochester, but I was raised in Buffalo, New York. And most people in Buffalo, New York that are Black American come from the South. It's either North Carolina, Georgia, or Alabama. But guess what? Growing up, like so many Black Americans will leave Buffalo. It's like, oh, I'm going back to, I'm leaving Buffalo. I'm moving. So many people, so many people will leave, and they will always go to where? North Carolina or Georgia. I mean, you might get a couple that hit up Alabama, because there's a lot of people from Alabama and Georgia. I mean, I'm sorry, in Buffalo, New York too. So it's Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina is where you get like a lot of the people from Buffalo. And growing up, I hear so many friends like, oh, I would get sad when I have some friends say, "Oh, me and my mom are leaving. We're moving. Where are you moving to?" Oh, they're always going back to North Carolina, and they that's where they're from. And so, I had to get back down south, and it just felt ancestral. It felt natural, um other places more than others, and then sometimes the spirit gets messed up, like a lot of people complain about Atlanta, Georgia, because there's so many transplants and there's so many immigrants, and it messes up the energy of the epigenetics that's stored in the land. That's no shade at anybody, but you can even feel it. There'll be people that are from Georgia, that lived in Georgia for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, and they complain. They say, "Oh, it's not the same. Oh, what they're doing it's different. The culture is different. The energy is messed up." Same thing. That's just I just wanted to give you guys an example, but the information of your ancestors is passed down, and I wanted to give you more of the scientific backing, because a lot of people say, "Oh, that's pseudo," or that's epigenetics is this is something that is clearly been researched, and it's been studied in butterflies. But I know for a fact that this occurs in humans, and then there's a bunch of studies on epigenetics in humans as well, and particularly how it affects Black Americans and our time here in America. And so there's research on that as well. And I think I wrote in my books, I believe in one of my books I broke that down, or it might have been in my encyclopedia. It might not even that material might not be published yet. No, I think I did publish it. Nonetheless, let's keep moving. Okay, so as we move forward in the creation of a new governance structure, which is the Nakhti Order, we affirm that the land of North America is sacred, and that it is tied intrinsically to the spirits and legacy of all Americans, and that its sacred bond must be honored and protected. We reject the unlawful authority of a system that has repeatedly violated the natural rights of the people to this land, and instead we uphold the trust between land and its ancestors, and the people have the right to its protection and stewardship. Okay, so the Nakhti Order is committed to ensuring that the Umbra governance operates in harmony with the land's ancestral protections, honoring the laws of the universe, and ensuring that the people's connections to this land remains unbroken and sacred. The protection of this land is not only a matter of spiritual and cultural preservation, but is also one of justice, equity, and healing for all Americans. We stand firm belief that the land of North America, its history, and its people are inseparable. That's so important. That is what the Nakhti Order really pushes. We stand firm in the belief that the land of North America, its history, and its people are inseparable, and that any law or system that fails to uphold this truth is unjust and invalid. Okay, and so now we're talking about the legal architecture of the U.S. Constitution and the Nakhti Order, the foundations of governance and authority. Okay, and so the Nakhti Order's structure is deeply aligned with the foundational principles of the United States Constitution, serving as a guide for governance and societal conduct, as well as the Nakhti philosophy and other sciences that we use. But beginning with the preamble, which articulates the goals of the document. The Nakhti Order embraces these ideals as essential to establishing justice, tranquility, and the protection of liberty for all its members. Okay, and so we did read the preamble earlier, so we're not going to read it again. But the preamble establishes the primary goals of the Constitution. Okay, it creates a stronger unified government, ensuring justice, maintaining peace, and protecting the nation's defense, promoting welfare, and securing liberty for future generations. So that is what the preamble stand for. We read that earlier. Um, I mean, we don't have to read it again, but I mean, it's right here. If you guys came in a little later, but that's the preamble. Okay, and so these objectives are married in the Nakhti order structure. We seek to form a more perfect and harmonious union, one that provides justice and protection for all people, fosters tranquility, and promotes the well-being of our members, both in the present and for posterity. The Nakhti order is built upon these principles, seeking to protect the rights and freedom of all individuals, while also ensuring the collective good of our society. Much like the Constitution, the Nakhti order maintains a framework that supports the development and evolution of governance over time, reflecting the dynamic nature of justice and societal growth. Further alignment with the United States Constitution is seen in the Nakhti Order's attentions to the protection of rights and freedoms through what can be considered our own version of a Bill of Rights. I am still actually working on it. Just as the Bill of Rights was created to ensure the protection of the individual freedoms and limits the scope of government power, the Nakhti Order similarly places a strong emphasis on individual sovereignty. So that's the difference between, like, say, even though I am conservative, or the Nakhti Order, we are conservative when it comes to like the ideas of protection of children and protection of the sanctity of the family of one man, one woman, one child. Obviously, we're not judging anybody's sexual orientation. If you do what you want to do, say if you know, as part of LGBTQ, there is zero judgment. We're just saying, like, there's certain things that make America timeless, and that will bring us into that golden age, and that is the honoring of the divine feminine and divine masculine, and balance our land, our ancestors. That is what I consider being conservative. Protection of children, honesty, transparency, truth, and conserving energy from the matrix. That's what we're talking about. And so obviously you have fiscal conservative and whatnot. I have very strong philosophical views on the role that government should play in terms of the social construct. We talk about Jacques Rousseau and the political philosophy. I'm going to break it down in that video. I should have actually probably did that today, and it was on my mind, but we'll probably do it on Friday. But nonetheless, because that's some heavy stuff. I want to make the case for, you know, um, what is the role of government in handouts, and government and mobility, and allowing for opportunity and mobility, and then a government that will purposely sabotage its citizens, and then what is the role of the social contract between a government and its people? If you give up certain rights or certain elements of your rights for protection and safety, as Benjamin Franklin would say, you deserve neither safety or liberty. If you say this is how I actually want to maybe just Google that quote so I can get it verbatim. Okay, let's give up. It's neither deserve. Let's see. I know I can find it. Okay, there we go. This right here. They who can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety neither deserve liberty nor safety. That's some heavy shit. And so I want to break down some of the philosophical aspects of this, as well as the social contract. When we talk about like government handouts and the right and the left, and I have some philosophical shit I want to get off my chest about that, and I could blow any argument on either side to smithereens, to be honest. But yeah, I want to go deep on that topic, because it's like, well, if you're not gonna give this or help us with this, or allow for the opportunities to maintain even economic mobility, then we don't need to have, what the fuck are you existing for? We don't need to have a government. We just go sovereign because you're violating social contract. And then I can back that up with Benjamin Franklin's quote. And again, I won't get into that, because that's gonna send me down a rabbit hole. That's what y'all had me foaming at the mouth like a rabbit. Because I mean, I'm not an ideologue, but it's some things that I've just been thinking about, and it's like once I have to get something off my chest, I just go into like a frenzy. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to touch upon it. I'm not going to do it to myself, because I don't want to upset myself. But let's just continue. Uh, Further alignment with the United States Constitution is seen in the Nakhti's order attentions to the protection of rights and freedoms. Through what him alignment with the United States Constitution is seen. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure my sound is good. Okay. Just as the Bill of Rights was created to ensure the protection of individual freedoms and limit the scope of government power, the Nakhti Order similarly places a strong emphasis on individual sovereignty, ensuring that no outside authority, whether governmental or otherwise, can infringe upon the rights of freedoms of our members. The Nakhti Order is not a static structure, but rather a living framework that evolves in response to the needs of its members while staying true to the core principles established in the preamble. This dynamic quality is reflected in the amendment process of the U.S. Constitution, which allows for change and adaptation to societal needs over time. Similarly, the Nakhti Order maintains flexibility within its governance, evolving and adapting to the challenges while maintaining its foundational laws, principles, and objectives. The Nakhti Order draws its inspiration from the spirit of the Constitution, particularly the amendments that safeguard individual rights and liberties. Okay, and so we know about the Bill of Rights and whatnot. Okay. And so by adapting these principles, the Nakhti Order not only acknowledges the importance of the United States Constitution, but also applies it to ideals that promote peace, justice, and the flourishing of all members and sovereignty in alignment with universal laws and principles of self-determination. This ensures that, like the Constitution, our orders is a living framework, one that adapts to the needs of its people while preserving the integrity of its core values. Okay. And so the Nakhti Order aligns with the principles of universal law, unalienable rights, asserting that all individuals are born with inherent freedoms and sovereignty. These rights are not granted by any government, but are intrinsic to human existence, rooted in natural law. The Nakhti Order emphasizes the importance of self-determination and autonomy. Okay. And so at least you know this is the framework in which we operate out of. And I'm just sharing it with you publicly. And this again is going to be on a website. It's going to be, on a pamphlet. Like it's not just going to be like right. I literally had to do all this stuff in a week. I would have had to do it either way, whether who was in the office. This was whether it was again. I have a whole book that was published 6 months ago called the Nakhti Order, in terms of the esoteric sciences that guide the framework of us as a high society that promotes enlightenment and truth and brotherhood, sisterhood, and love and wisdom. There is a framework. There's a book already on the Nakhti Order as a order, but as far as the governance of North America, the Umbra governance, the shadow government, which dictates pretty much what's going to be happening in the United States corporation. And so for those who have been following us, you've seen that literally play out. You have seen that for the last year, stuff that we have predicted, things that we've said will go through, strategies that we have given out, literally be implemented by the United States corporation, by the matrix government. Okay. And so that's most likely is going to continue to happen. But we want to make more of a presence known and organize more on a structural level in terms of Umbra governance. Okay, and so the Nakhti Order aligns with the principles of universal law. Okay, I already read that. Okay, so let's go here. The United States Constitution is the supreme law of the land and serves as the foundation of the American government and its political framework. As we all know, it was drafted in 1787, it was ratified in 1788, and the Constitution laid the groundwork for the structure of the U.S. government. So now here, we're just going to cover a little bit of the Constitution. Just I know we've had this history lesson, maybe like I want to say fifth grade, sixth grade, maybe even eighth grade, but we're just covering just a little bit more for those that need a refresher. This is like a little refresher history course. Okay. And so we do know that it's the Constitution consists of a preamble, 7 articles, and 27 amendments with the Bill of Rights. Okay. And so the first 10 amendments in particular forming the crucial part of the Constitution's text. And so we already went through the preamble. Okay, to form a more perfect union. And so the Constitution aims to improve upon the Articles of Confederation by creating a stronger, unified government to establish justice. It provides the framework for creating a judicial system to uphold the rule of law and ensure fairness, to ensure domestic tranquility. The Constitution seeks to maintain peace within the country and prevent internal conflicts, to provide for the common defense and ensures a national defense capable of protecting the nation from foreign threats, to promote the general welfare. It allows for the creation of policies that support the well-being of the public and to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. The Constitution seeks to protect the freedoms and rights of both current and future generations. So again, though we operate under universal law, GIA law, de jure law, common law, when it comes to the interdimensional aspects of bringing down the Umbra governance down structurally, especially for like the political party, because eventually there will be, say, a faction that decides to probably register a political party within the Nakhti Order. That has to be obviously in alignment with what's with what's constitutional, and so that would not be like it would probably be like called the Nakhti Party, and that would be like an offshoot, like another appendage, just like how Nakhti University is an appendage, Nakhti Church of the Higher Self is an appendage, the Nakhti Queen Mothership is an appendage of the Nakhti Order. Okay, and so the Nakhti Party will most likely be an appendage as far as a political party. And so that's why it is important to operate in and out of the system, but we operate in and out as the shadow, in within the shadow, everywhere, everything, all at once. Okay, and so the 7 articles, and again, you have to overstand some knowledge of this universe to even follow my framework. And I don't like to talk over people's head or anything, but this is something. This is not something I just came up with in one day or anything. In terms of when we talk about the Nakhti philosophy, that's 4 years old. I'm an author of 20 books. The Nakhti Queen Mothership philosophy, the Nakhti Queen Mothership frameworks, that stuff is old. It's 4 years old, and so I've had quite a bit of time to think of these things, and so some of the terms that I've used is rooted in that body of work already. And not just my body of work, but the body of work of other people and great scholars, brilliant thinkers, and so, if for anyone that may not understand something, if you ask, I will explain, but I know I have a reputation for like maybe talking over someone's head and stuff, but I'm trying to break that. But I also need people to give feedback in terms of asking questions. If you don't ask a question, I won't know where, and I know that my following doesn't, I mean, my following, I think they know more than what I know, like they break shit down for me. They bring stuff to me. And so, I'm not talking to anybody that would be probably like listening to me, but just for anybody that I know that somebody had wrote me and was like, I don't understand what you're talking about. It's too complicated. And they didn't ask any questions. They didn't. I said, "Well, ask me. Tell me what you need help with. I'm willing to break it down. What's going on?" And then they just have a fit and say, "No, um, no, I'm good. Never mind." And see, I don't need all that. I ain't trying to. I ain't trying to have no beef. Just ask a question. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about the 7 articles. I don't really need to go through over this, but you just need to know that there's 7 articles. But I'm not reading that right now. Obviously, the Bill of Rights and amendments. And that consists of the first 10 amendments, which were introduced in response to calls for stronger protections of individual liberties. And that's the freedom, such as freedom of speech and religion, and the right to assembly, the right to bear arms, protection against unreasonable searches and seizures, protection against self-incrimination and double jeopardy. Those are, I mean, come on. This is what, and so as a targeted individual, I feel some type of way. I was in a targeted individual for 10 years. It's getting better. But I'm just saying, I feel some type of way because all this shit been violated for me. All, freedom of speech and, religion. I've been persecuted. As many Americans have been. Many Americans. And so, I honestly feel like the way that this country has moved has been removed from this Constitution and from these Bill of Rights. That's just me, though. And so since its ratification, the Constitution has been amended 17 times, bringing the total number of amendments to 27. And so we all know some of the more famous amendments is the 13th Amendment, which was in 1865, which abolished slavery and involuntary servitude. The 14th Amendment, which granted citizenship and equal protection under law to all people born or naturalized in the U.S. Now, this was 1868. Now, they were talking about getting rid of this 14th Amendment. No way, because that will affect Black Americans, even though we are indigenous to this land. And so we have to be careful with a lot of the Jedi mind tricks as these people are going to try to pull on us. And I know you guys are so pissed off at the Democrats and the Democrats, but don't go walk over into a burning house over with the Republicans either. Stand strong and be sovereign. Understand that you probably should be creating your own shit, because neither party, both of these parties work together behind the scenes, and neither of these parties have the best interests of the American people at heart. If you ask me, they have their own interests. They have their own interests. Good, bad, right or wrong, how you want to look at it. They play in the game. You got to play the game, or you don't have to play the game at all, and you can recreate the game. But you can't let people come in and sniff, remove things from right under your nose. The 26th Amendment, which lowered the age to voting to 18. I didn't even know that. But obviously, 13th, 14th Amendment, those are very important. Okay, so the U.S. Constitution has stood the test of time as a central document of American democracy, providing the framework for a government based on the rule of law, the protection of rights, and a system of checks and balances. Its flexibility through the amendment process allows it to adapt to changing times while maintaining the fundamental principles of justice, liberty, and the common good. Despite challenges, the Constitution remains a vital document that reflects the enduring ideals of the United States and guides its governance. So again, the appendages that operate within the legal framework of admiralty law will most likely have to go. We have to understand the Constitution, but the Nakhti Order of Governance of the Nakhti Order of Governance of North America, as far as the Umbra governance, we operate under universal law. We operate under Deir Jor law and GIA law, common law, and so any law that is in conflict with that exists within admiralty law is considered null and void in regards to the Nakhti Order governance of North America. And so now we're going to cover this later. Then the next video that we do, we're going to cover the Admiral Manch, the Upper House, and the Black House. Again, this is more of philosophical, but once we start to see some of the effects of what's going to be taking place, these are the things that I know is going to happen in this country. I am a prophetess. I have, just this year alone, on a weekly basis, I have 123 public prophecies. They all came true. We did a review on a weekly basis. We'll do it a review, see if it came true, and see what's going on, and it did. Like, uncannily accuracy. And again, I don't know everything, and I'm not claiming that I do, and I can't see everything, but 123 prophecies in 1 year on a weekly basis. That's pretty cool. But what does that mean? It's not a flex. But unfortunately, I do see certain things that's gonna happen in this country. It's not even worth getting into in this video, and so we have to plan accordingly for when that happens. Hopefully, it'll be a smooth transition, but the people are gonna see through things pretty much. The people are gonna wake up. They're gonna see through shit, and you have to again bridge your connection with the American people, the land of North America, and its ancestral ties and the epigenetics of the land, North America, the people itself, and the governance and the bridge between that and sovereignty. And the current administration, whether that be from the DNC or the RNC, has yet to address that. They don't care to address that. And so they pretty much just want to put a Band-Aid on the wound. I could see things. I do know that Americans are going to be in for quite a surprise, but it's all part of the plan because, many people are going to be led astray. And we've screaming from the rooftop, hey, it's a trap, or hey, you guys want to speak up. You guys may want to, and so unfortunately, that has to be what's going to happen. Should be looked at as a potentiator, meaning it would be a revelation, a sudden shock, sudden upheaval that leads to pretty much a higher consciousness, an enlightenment. And so that's what's going to happen. But the people are going to demand high level systems, shit that actually works, stuff that's actually functioning, stuff that's actually truthful, transparent, and agreeable. Like some okay, I can get with that. And so I know where that's going to be heading. And so next video, we'll cover the actual governance structure, as well as term limit structure, the pathway for leadership progression, and special election mechanisms for term extensions, consistent election cycles across levels, and transparent. And actually, we're going to separate this. We'll do governance structure and then the term limits. I did use Nikola Tesla's term limit science behind this because, again, I'm a craftsman. I'm a Black American. BLAQUE. Okay, it is not spelled the legalese way of the North American corporation, and it's a different gematria in a whole nother ballpark. So BLAQUE, and so I have to go what my ancestors give me. And, and Nikola Tesla, he's not my ancestor. I'm not saying that, but I'm tapped in. And then so I'm tuned in. And so, I can, as far as quantum teleportation, yeah, we gonna get this information. And so we're going to discuss term limits. We're going to discuss the pathway for leadership progression. We'll discuss special election mechanisms for term extensions. And then we'll probably stop here. No, actually, yeah, we'll stop at consistent elections across levels, and then after that, we'll cover like what the voting process will look like. I'm just so early on things. I'm always an early bird. The early bird gets the worm, no, but I'm always an early bird, and I'm tired of giving out free game and free prophecy. So I gotta let y'all hit y'all head a couple of times before y'all get it. I'm not talking to those who rock with me, my family. I don't even want to say follow them, or that don't even sound right, but those who rock with me, like those who get it. I'm not even talking to y'all at all. But I do know people will come across the video that may not know what the heck, what is it, the Nakhti Order? I don't know what none of this stuff is. I'm talking to them, the people that that they gonna have to hit their head up that wall, just like how I did. I'm not immune. I was hitting my head upside that wall too. And there's people that rock with me that knew I was hitting my head upside the wall, and they gave me grace, and realized like, okay, they already know politics ain't shit. They already know, like, girl, we been sovereign, girl, we don't even care about none of that stuff you was up there talking about the Trump and all that. They already get it. So I feel like I'm Johnny come lately in many aspects of the new world that I've entered, so to speak, the new phase of consciousness that I'm in, where I'm overstanding. Like, I'm like, hold up, these are two birds of the same. Like, but it's like, okay, we understand that, right? But do we really overstand that? And to see that clear as day, as far as me being so close to it, and talking with people that I know it was a part of think tanks, that I know have worked on the campaign and have even been to Trump's house, and or worked with the DNC or the Boule and whatnot, and so I was very up close to this, and then I'm like, I'm under a fucking spell. I'm like, hold up, wait a minute, and my ancestors, they come and say, girl, you better do this genealogy, you better get your ass over here, and let's da 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 da, because we want your own structures, we want that third temple built. And yeah, a lot of Black Americans may have sold me out, or help the CIA frame me and fuck me up or whatever. But it's not. It's a lot that didn't do that, and it's a lot of Americans that don't even know nothing about what I'm talking about. So I can't. I gotta heal. In that regard, I admit that I got a lot of healing to do. Um, and in that regard, because I'm still in a lot of pain from that, because I understand what happened, and then it's like they worked in like a covert secret society to try to literally just knock me off my square in terms of what I've come to do and who I am. And so just to know that there were people close to me involved in that, it's painful. And so I'll heal, but nonetheless, we'll get through the next phase of this, and again, we'll have very fancy, beautiful websites where we can have our own meetings, get organized. We'll I'm gonna this is just giving an update, because again, I made some pretty bold claims, and now I have to follow through all the way, no matter what, as far as me, what I say I was, the Empress and the President of the Umbra governance of the North America, the Nakhti Order of governance of North America. So I made some pretty wild, and so I had to structure this, because again, when I'm in a quantum entanglement session, I can see things, and then it's like, okay, it's like all these dimensions start to clash, and I got to filter out all of the information in a logical manner, so we're 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D, entities can understand me. Humans can understand me. Okay. And so, I was looking at the definition of like America and whatnot. And now people like to say it was named after Amaru, what was it, Vespucci, some guy named Amaru Vespucci. And from my understanding, that may or may not be true, but I do know the variation of America has been found in many indigenous languages itself, and so I don't feel comfortable just saying, oh, it's named after some Italian explorer or some shit like that, whatever they say. But we do know we have one definition that means Amaruka, which is land of the great plumed serpents, and obviously Turtle Island. See, I'm more familiar of the land of the great plumed serpents as far as North America, but then there are a lot of Black Americans. They go by Turtle Island. Like I don't, I've met so many Black Americans that see in North America as Turtle Island, and so the land of the great plumed serpents is also what many indigenous tribes believe in too. But that depends on what tribe you come from, and that is actually more popular in certain parts of America in the South, as also in Mexico as well. It's also very popular in Mexico too. And you guys know that with anything, like we're not going to get into the Negas bloodlines, but I know a lot of people don't like serpents, but people of the Negas bloodline would not frown upon a name such as Land of the Great Plumed Serpents, which is the definition of North America, believe it or not, as well as Turtle Island, depending on what tribe you come from, and many. They're it depends on what tribe, but these are the two that I'm the most familiar with when it comes to Black Americans who are part indigenous and many who are full blown indigenous. And so that's all I have for you today. I'm about to get up off of here. Thank you, DW, for stopping by. He said, "No, I have not heard of that. I have heard of the hemp plastic. Invest in hemp texture, by the way. Okay." Hemp texture. Okay, I gotta look into that. Matter of fact, is there a way I could copy and paste this comment? How do I copy and paste a comment? Oh, I don't think I'm able to. Okay, so I have to Google that when I'm done. Okay. You said I've heard of the hemp plastic. Yeah, they had something with the seaweed too. And now I guess they're doing hemp. Okay, so I gotta look into that. Make American niggas healthy again. Right, manha. Yeah, but yes, thanks for stopping by. So I'm about to get my ass up off of here. This is late. It's getting late. So love you guys. I'm gonna talk to you later. Bye.